Good afternoon. Welcome to HEWN. A few weeks ago, we started a YouTube channel and it was called Candice Thumb Global. I am Candice Thumb, but since then we have changed the name to HEWN, HEWN, Healing Emotional Wounds with Neuroplasticity. Here at HEWN, we explore emotional wounds, trauma, faith, identity, but most of all, we look at the brain's ability to heal and change us. Many people keep repeating the same patterns, having the same reactions, getting into the same wrong relationships, making the same wrong choices, and even going through emotional cycles that they've been through over and over again, even though these patterns are unhealthy. Why? Why do we do that? Repeated patterns are often learned responses developed through childhood experiences like trauma, rejection, fear, survival, abandonment. Our brain learns to react in a certain way as a result of those negative experiences. So the brain often repeats familiar patterns because familiar feels predictable and safe, even when it is painful. But a pattern is not your identity. That is just how the brain is reacting. So that's just how I am may actually mean that's what my shame, my brain, my trauma learned to do. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize itself and develop new pathways through repeated thoughts, choices, experiences, and behaviors that are opposite to the negative ones you have learned before. So, for example, if a child learned that adults are not safe, that people who say they love them are not safe, then they may go through life believing that people are not safe, and that may stop them from becoming involved in relationships, from interacting appropriately, from making wise decisions, because they feel that adults and the world are not safe. However, when they meet one person with whom they begin to have positive experiences and a positive relationship, that begins to change the negative experiences they've had, those negative responses that they've been programmed to. Eventually, after having a number of positive experiences and positive relationships and positive thoughts about relationships, new pathways are formed and the brain stops reacting in the same old way. It stops making them feel they can't trust. It starts making them feel that all people are bad. It starts making them feel relationships are not safe. So today I want to encourage you to think about one pattern that you have been repeating and ask yourself, what happens right before I respond this way? What am I feeling? What am I trying to protect myself from? These are questions you can ask yourself so that you can begin to understand why you are behaving or responding in a certain way, why you are willing to repeat negative patterns. Romans 12:2 teaches us about transforming ourselves through the renewing of our minds. Science helps us to understand that renewal can make creating new patterns in the brain possible. But here's the thing, science is only now catching up to what the Bible has been preaching all along. You can change. Your mind can be renewed. You can make new decisions. You can form new patterns that are possible. New patterns may help, well, the old patterns may have helped you survive, but new patterns can help you to thrive. Old patterns may have helped you to survive, but they do not need to control your future. What was learned can be challenged, reshaped, and replaced. And you can have new way of thinking, behaving, believing, interacting. It's all about neuroplasticity, allowing the new experiences you are having to change and reshape the old ones. Thank you for joining us here at HEWN. Remember, next time you find yourself repeating a pattern, ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What am I trying to protect myself from? And what is happening right before I respond this way? Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you again next week on HEWN.